the top 5 words to describe Tennessee, according to ChatGPT. So yes, I did ask the internet what are the top 5 words to describe Tennessee, and we are going to decide if we agree or disagree based on my personal knowledge of the state. Is ChatGPT smarter than me? The answer is probably yes. But that being said, let's dive in. Let's talk about these 5 words that the internet or ChatGPT is using to describe Tennessee. Do we agree? Do we disagree? And why? Let's dive in and check it out. All right, so the first word to this question. So this is exactly what I asked ChatGPT. What are the top 5 words used to describe Tennessee? And I don't think these are in specific order. It does say these words captured some of the key aspects of Tennessee's identity and appeal. So I didn't ask it for a specific order. So it, however, did list number 1 is scenic. It says Tennessee is known for its picturesque landscapes, including the Great Smoky Mountains, rolling hills, and beautiful countryside. So, Great Smoky Mountains, where are they? In East Tennessee. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park is the most visited national park in the nation, to the tune of around 14 million people per year, which is literally amazing. And so, yeah, it is scenic. We do have rolling hills. We do have tons of outdoor stuff. We do have all of that. So I would agree that it is scenic. Now, there are parts of the state that I disagree. They're not as scenic. For example, West Tennessee, like the Memphis area, I would not describe it as scenic. It's more flat. I wouldn't say there's rolling hills. And then you've got really closer to the mountains is the more scenic part. Even like Chattanooga and Johnson City, the Tri-Cities, that is more scenic. And then I will say though, you do have like rivers through all the major cities going that are in Tennessee. So from that perspective, you do have some outdoor stuff happening, but the most scenic, if we're talking about the most picturesque place, would be like the Cumberland Plateau, the Great Smoky Mountains, the Cherahela Skyway, any of the stuff on the river. So that being said, I do agree with this. I don't think this necessarily applies to the entire state, but because the Great Smoky Mountains is so popular, we'll go with it. Okay, number 2 word that ChatGPT listed is musical. It says the state has rich musical heritage, with Nashville often referred to as Music City and being the hub of country, rock, and blues music. Okay, so I do 100% agree that Tennessee is musical. So currently, as it stands right now, we have bluegrass in East Tennessee, we have country music in Middle Tennessee, and we have blues in the West Tennessee and Memphis area. So, and actually country music, some would argue, had its foundations in the Tri-Cities and the Johnson City area. However, now we consider the Smoky Mountains, East Tennessee area more bluegrass, think banjos, think like those, you know what I'm saying, banjos, okay? More bluegrassy and a little more twangy, like Alison Krauss. Like, you know what I'm saying? A little folk music. And then country music, obviously, Nashville, Music City. I mean, it's all the rage. That's where all the historical, that's where the Country Music Hall of Fame is, Ryman Auditorium, all those things. So certainly deep, deep, deep music history. And then obviously in Memphis, we have Elvis, which he would, I guess, be considered rock. But like Tina Turner's from Memphis. So, we have that all going on for us in the state. I definitely would say that Tennessee is musical. So I agree with you, ChatGPT. Okay, the third word that ChatGPT used is Southern. And this is obvious. Obviously, Tennessee is in the South. Hello. So it says Southern. Tennessee is located in the southern United States and is often associated with Southern hospitality and culture. I agree with that. I looked up the definition for Southern in case we were unclear, and it says situated in the South, or directed toward or facing the South, living or originating from the South. So yes, I definitely would say we are in the South. I don't think there's really much more to expound on that other than the fact that yes, this is true. We're in the South. Now, if you start looking at these freaking football conferences and you say SEC, which is Southeastern Conference, obviously we belong in the SEC geographically. But some of the stuff that's happening, it's like, that could get you confused about what's southern. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thoughts. The fourth word that ChatGPT said is historic. They say Tennessee has a significant historical heritage with sites like the Civil War battlefields, Graceland, which is Elvis Presley's former home, and the birthplace of blues in Memphis. So certainly, I don't consider Tennessee historic from the perspective of like, if you go to Boston, if you go to New York City, really Boston, I think Boston is like, if we're going to talk history, it's Boston. And like New Hampshire, like all those cobblestone streets that have been around, like that to me feels more historic than what we have here in Tennessee. Now, we do have historical sites. There, I was looking up like how many Civil War sites are there. And if you go look on that, I mean, there's just like the whole state is covered up with all kinds of Civil War memorials and all kinds of stuff. So certainly the Ryman Auditorium, we have tons of like music history here. And then, you know, from a sports perspective, we do have some sports history and like historical places, but I don't necessarily, and we have some, you know, like we've got the Blunt Mansion. There is some historical stuff here, but I just don't consider this as like, you know, the mecca of like, if you were going to go on a history tour, I wouldn't probably pick this. I will say that was something that's kind of cool. Well, we have like new history. For example, in Knoxville, the Sun Sphere. That was built for the 1982 World's Fair. So that is a historical site. However, it's from 1982. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to Boston and you're like looking at the harbor like this is where the tea got put in. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a side note. In my opinion, I think, yeah, well, there's cool places here, but like other places, like I mentioned, the Ryman Auditorium, Graceland. But again, that's like new history. That's not from the 1800s, even though like, you know, you get what I'm saying. Or maybe you don't. I don't necessarily agree with this one, but I get the point. Okay, and the fifth word ChatGPT used is lively. And this is what they said. The state has a vibrant culture with lively cities like Nashville and Memphis, offering a thriving nightlife and an entertainment scene. Now, at first, I took issue with this because it says Nashville and Memphis. But then it said offering a thriving nightlife. Well, Nashville and Memphis do have thriving nightlives. Knoxville, I don't think we do. I don't think we have a thriving nightlife. And the number one reason I'm saying this is because I went to school, college, undergrad, at Carson Newman in Jefferson City. So Carson Newman is about 35, 40 minutes east of downtown Knoxville. And we would come into Knoxville to like dance, go to the club, whatever. And there was like one option. Okay. And I don't think it's that much different either. So I don't, and even if you want to say like, oh, there is a nightlife, I just don't think that. Now, Memphis and Nashville absolutely has a nightlife. They both have like, Memphis has Beale Street, and then Nashville has Broadway, which are like the famous streets where the tourists go and blah, blah, blah. But even outside of those non-touristy areas, you can find stuff to do like thriving nightlife. So I do agree with the idea of lively if they're talking specifically about nightlife for Nashville and Memphis, I agree with that. And then entertainment, Nashville and Memphis are going to have more entertainment, like big concerts, than say, for example, the Knoxville, Chattanooga, or Johnson Cities area. Now, Knoxville is going to be your biggest option on the east side of the state when it comes to entertainment, but obviously Nashville is going to be the largest pool for the biggest entertainers, the biggest concerts, all of that. So certainly there is entertainment. There are, venues and whatnot here in the East Tennessee area, but I definitely would say when it comes to like entertainment and nightlife, Memphis and Nashville are your better choices. Now, I do say that like East Tennessee is lively in the sense that there's tons of stuff to do, just in a different way. So lots of like outdoor mountain biking, hiking, all of that kind of stuff going on in the East Tennessee area. But when it comes to like nightlife, not so much. And we have a lot of, I don't want to say like an underground entertainment scene, but I feel like it's a more of an up and coming vibe compared to like Nashville and Memphis that are pulling like big artists. So those are my thoughts on that. Overall, I would say that I agree with ChatGPT. Maybe historic. It's not like a mecca of history. So I probably wouldn't add it to my history tour, if that makes sense. Now, if you want to do like moonshine history, yes, this would be the great place for that. This would be perfect. If you wanted to do hydroelectricity history, like the TVA, yes. And actually, you know what? ChatGPT did not even mention on the history side of things anything about World War II, anything about Oak Ridge National Lab, any of that stuff. And like the making of like the nuclear bomb, like all of that stuff wasn't mentioned. So there is history in that sense. I just consider it like a newer history. As compared to, like I said, somewhere way up north Boston. Like that to me is like historic. You walk through those streets and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. The history everywhere. So anyways, yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are my 5 words that ChatGPT gave us, and I agree with the majority of them. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it's been insightful about just some things to think about when you consider Tennessee and what Tennessee has to offer. And that being said, I will see you on the next video. Obviously, if you've enjoyed this, if you like more content about Tennessee, then click subscribe, and I will see you next time.